trying to type stuff out and get everything ready. I wasn't ready to actually start, but it is time to get going, so we're just gonna go right into it.
Oh my.
That was just a
Hello.
dumb mistake. But hello, guys, and welcome to Around the Scene. I'm one of your hosts, PWR Ryan, and joining me today is Daddy Perino. How you doing, man? It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. I'm doing pretty good today. A little bit tired, long day, but we've got a lot to talk about today. All sorts of good
Oh
stuff on the show.
my goodness, it is so much to talk about. Like, I woke up this morning and I saw the article and I was like, "This is fake. This has to be a lie." I was like, "There's no way this is true." Yeah, like just crazy stuff.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a good one.
Oh yeah, but guys, this is episode 21 of Around the Scene. If you don't know who we are, we give you all your Rocket League news every Wednesday. You want to be here. We're a lot of fun. We have a lot of conversation about it all. But you're going to want to be here to get your fix on all things Rocket League. If you like this, be sure to give us a follow or sub here on Twitch, YouTube, all the other places that you may follow us. Here on Twitch, it's September, so subs are half off. Just putting it out there. No pressure or anything. But also be sure to kick us a buck over on patreon.com/playingwithrockets. If you want to be a part of the show, the only way to do that is to be here every Wednesday. We're starting earlier today, I know, but it's also for a couple other reasons because I got a job.
Hey!
So I'm going out to celebrate with my wife, so that's why we're doing the episode a little earlier tonight. But the only way to be a part of the show is for you to come here, join us, pose your questions and everything there in chat. We may bring it into the show. We may incorporate you. So if you want to, though, you have to come be chatting away there for us. Quick shout out to our sponsors for the month of September. We got Father 5 and Jonesy. But enough of that. We are going into our news. Today we have 3 items for the Rocket League news. The first one is the biggest by far. I really thought number 2 on our list was going to be the biggest one. But this just shattered everything for us today. The Olympics-backed $500,000 Intel World Open ties into 2020 Tokyo Games with Rocket League and Street Fighter V. So no big deal. We're in the Olympics now. This news coming from the eSports Observer. I'm going to read you a quick snippet. The International Olympic Committee and worldwide sponsor Intel have teamed up to announce the Intel World Open, an esports competition that will take place in the run-up to the 2020 Summer Olympics in Tokyo, Japan. The Intel World Open will feature Rocket League and Street Fighter V competitions in partnership with Psyonix and Epic Games and Capcom, respectively, with $250,000 awarded for each tournament for a grand total of $500,000. Intel and the IOC will host the World Open Finals at Tokyo's ZEP Diversity venue from July 22nd to 24th, 2020, with the Olympics themselves kicking off on July 24th. Online qualifiers will allow anyone from the participating countries to compete for a chance to be named to his or her national team, with a live qualifying event to be held in Katowice, Poland in June to determine which teams will ultimately compete in Tokyo. ESL, of which Intel is a global technology partner for competition brands, including the Intel Extreme Masters, will handle production for the World Open. The World Open represents an evolution in the partnership between Intel and the IOC, who previously teamed up to hold the Intel Extreme Masters Pyeongchang ahead of the 2018 Winter Olympics in South Korea. That competition was solely focused on Blizzard Entertainment's StarCraft 2 and was only streamed to viewers, while the Intel World Open will have a live audience there in Tokyo. We're not quite in the Olympics, but we are. It's weird.
I think the word you're looking for is awesome. I mean, this is something that it was always like sort of like rumored. There was always sort of like discussion about this concept.
They had like a summit about it in, oh god, I can't remember when I did all the notes on this. I want to say it was last year they did the summit on it. Like near in January of 2018, they did a summit with esports representatives to kind of just, discuss the meshing of the Olympics and esports. And it's all coming to fruition a lot faster than I was expecting, to be honest.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. I'm surprised that it's 2020. I would have thought they would have
Yeah.
waited a little bit further. But I mean, it's amazing. I love it.
I'm pumped about this.
Interesting choice of two games. We
Not
always
really
thought
when you
Rocket.
think about it.
I
Because
always
I
thought
don't want
Rocket League would be a.
violence.
Yeah, but it's Street Fighter. I mean,
Yeah, Street Fighter though is akin to like boxing.
sure, but
I mean,
point being, we always figured Rocket League was going to be a major contender for one of these spots.
yeah.
I just would have thought they may have gone with something more popular even than Street Fighter. I don't know exactly how developed that scene is, but it's not.
Street Fighter, the scene itself has just been around for a long time. Street Fighter 5 scene,
Like I know, like the
it's
the
kind of
FGC.
there. It's Street Fighter 5 scene is interesting.
I was gonna say I know like the
run
FGC
some-
scene.
I've
As
helped
a,
run
as a
some
group.
FGC stuff, so that's why I kind of know. For the FGC community as a whole, it's a
Yeah, it's
big
big.
deal. It's a big
Oh,
deal
yeah.
for them. It's a huge deal for us too, though. Just it's insane because I just really wasn't expecting it to come to fruition this quickly. I was thinking 2024 might be the earliest we really see them doing something like. And I know we're not officially a part of the Olympics, but to use us as like kind of a run up into the Olympics, like that still is a huge deal. The fact that the IOC is backing this is a huge win in and of itself. Like this decision right here changes esports forever. Like it really does.
Yes,
Esports
because
is
it's
never going to be the same because of this.
and it's one of those things where it's hard to get a accurate picture between going full blown hype and like where it really is, because obviously I mean it is a tremendous deal because we're finally starting to bridge the gap into
Traditional
mainstream.
sports.
Yes, and this is a culmination, I think, of decades really of having esports being pushed to the forefront. It's finally reached a point now. I again, according to the IFC anyway, because they're sponsoring the event, that that they're strongly considering this being a real developed and fully.
It's finally worth their time, and it's just. Oh man, like this is just one of those things I really wasn't expecting to see when I woke up this morning. I just like woke up. This was like one of my, you wake up in the morning, you check your phone, you see all your notifications you got throughout the night. I saw this one and I was just like, nah, this isn't real. And I read the article, and I saw it was from the Esports Observer. I was like, okay, this might have something to it. I read the whole thing and I was just like, no way, like. It's so cool. And to give you guys an idea of kind of how it's going to work, what they're going to do is they're going to be doing online qualifiers. And that is going to lead into 16 countries. They're going to do online qualifiers, and it's going to lead to 16 countries. Those 16 countries that win in the online qualifiers are going to go to Katowice, Poland for the LAN qualifiers, in which 7 teams will go on to play in Japan for the Olympic event itself. The reason only 7 instead of 8 is because Japan, being the host nation, they get to have a team participate in this automatically, which is really cool. I like that they're even treating it like you would with normal Olympic stuff of like the host country, like they're in it regardless, like they are in it because they are hosting it. So I think that's really cool. So again, it's another chance for us to kind of see like, where does Japan sit? Where does Asia kind of sit in all this? But it's just so neat because you get to see the individual countries. Now, I have no clue what 7 countries are going to make it in. France, I think, is a given. But aside from that, I don't know.
I mean, USA, right?
I don't know, though, because...
What? Oh, come on.
No. Like, I think we stand a damn good chance. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, like, you got to think, because now it's not just EU. There are a bunch of other countries. Not to mention, we lose, as NA, we lose some of our solid players like Squishy and JNaps to Canada.
There is a 0% chance that a U.S. national team would not make it into a top 8.
I'm not saying I don't think it can happen. Like, I think it's a very strong possibility. I'm not counting it just yet, though. I think France is the only give me at the moment. You have a team of Chaussette, Fairy Peak, and K-Dop. There is no stopping that freight train. For God's
Yeah,
sakes, at Beyond the Summit, they did a French team.
yeah, and it was awesome. But yeah, I actually think it'll be really interesting to see how these rosters work. And actually, the one thing I was thinking of, it's actually an incredible opportunity if you're like in a bubble team, but if you can find
No,
other
it is.
players in your country,
Like, that's the other
because
cool thing too. Is like you could, as a bubble team, go try to fight your way to be representing your country. Like that's so cool to me. Like I just,
well, and
it's
because
so exciting.
the national teams, there aren't really that many. Again, outside of, I would say, France, the United States, assuming that it's not like, East West or anything, but like, so like
No,
France, United
I
States.
think it's just U.S. I don't think you
Yeah.
get East and West.
I think pretty much France, USA, and I would even say Canada too, just because of Squishy and JNaps alone. I don't care who their third is almost certainly a lock, I would say. So between, like, after those three though, it's really pretty much an open shot. Like,
Yeah.
if you're from,
Well, like I think there's a real possibility that you'll see a South American team make it in,
right,
like a
right,
Brazil or Venezuela or something. Like I think that there's a strong chance you'll see them make it in. There's a good chance that we could see a China team or
an Australian team
yeah,
potentially.
like we could. Yeah, OCE teams are a very strong possibility. Like it's just like it's so cool, like, and like it was just so funny because on the episode with Leaf, we talked about this, but like he told me, he was like, this is all just like speculation, like he didn't have any clue about this. So I messaged him this morning and I was like, hey, I just think it's hilarious that we just talked about this. And he's like, yeah, I didn't know it was coming. He's like, like apparently the people who are like with Psyonix, like casters and stuff, apparently like it's news to them too.
Well, yeah, I mean, imagine that they have to keep it fairly under wraps,
Yeah,
like with most things. But um, yeah, this is so
it's
un.
crazy.
I'm not even
It's
really
so
sure
cool.
what to think. It is really cool. I'm actually really looking forward to see like the national teams, like
Yeah,
who gets picked up where. It was funny because there was a lot of discussion about it today, and it was like, even like Scotland, if it's not like a UK team, like Scotland on its, okay, mistaken scrub,
yeah, that's a
okay,
good
and then
team.
you pick up, okay, a GC third, like, all right, give them a shot,
Yeah,
and then there's a couple of other, like, the EU nations, like, same thing, pick up two good pros and find an okay-ish third, and you're giving yourself a chance.
yeah, you
So
are. Like, oh man, it's so cool. I'm so excited about all of this. Like, it's just this fundamentally changes esports. Like I think that's like the coolest thing to me is that like this is historical in like a number of ways. Just like this is the moment where like if you look back, I'm sure a couple of years from now, like 10, 20 years from now, you're going to look back and like the moment that the Olympics decided to get on and back esports in this way. We're not officially a part of the Olympics, but the fact that the IOC is behind it, they're on board with it, like that's a turning point. And I think that you're going to look back on this and it's just going to be like StarCraft 2, Rocket League, and Street Fighter 5. Those were the ones that changed it.
yeah, it's weird to have Rocket League at the forefront for
I
something esports related. If this doesn't make you tier one at this point, like, if you can't push this and ride this wave now
yeah.
into making it something that's really truly tier one, like, come on, this
Well,
is
I think it's
it's
gonna
it's
be
weird to be in the driver's seat, so to speak.
it's gonna be one of those things where because I was talking with someone over in Rival Esports today about it, and it's a thing of whenever you show people Rocket League, at first they're kind of confused, and then like as they watch more of it and they start seeing like how close it is to genuine sports, you're kind of like it's like a light bulb goes off in their head, and they're like, "This is cool, this is really neat." And I think what's cool about this is Rocket League, and I stand by it, and like I've said it many, many times, I stand by it still, is Rocket League is, I think, the game that is going to launch esports in the mainstream. I've always felt that way, and that's part of why I like it so much. Like, it is weird to see Rocket League at the forefront of it, just because, like, it
We've never
feels
been
like
there.
this tight-knit community still. Like, it's big, but at the same time, like, everyone still kind of knows everyone, which is, like, interesting in and of itself. But, like, this, I think, is the moment where Rocket League just blows up.
The next move has to be free to play. If they don't make it before, if they don't make it free to play before the, I would say, I mean, at the minimum before the actual event in Tokyo, it's a crying shame because you don't want any sort of barrier to entry. Fundamentally, one of the attractions like of mainstream
Fortnite
sports
and other
too.
games is the
Well, I was
fact.
gonna say mainstream sports, like for Olympic
Yeah, I
athletes,
mean, you
is
just go
that
play it.
you just you go outside and shoot hoops, or you kick a,
Yeah.
I'll use the American word, soccer ball. You kick a soccer ball, like you just, but you just go out and you just do it. So I think the next step really has to be free to play, and it has to be soon now
Yeah. I mean,
because
just being the way that Epic is, I can see it happening. I mean, CS:GO went free to play.
right.
Like they used to charge money for you to play that game, like to buy it and everything. And so it's like I think it's only a matter of time before Rocket League goes free to play. It's free to play in China. Um, I think they might be using that as a sort of gateway to kind of see what revenue looks like on a free to play model for the game. And I think that that's going to kind of justify their decision making on some of it. Uh, yes, Chunky, they did make CS:GO free to play. You can like upgrade to like a premium version of it or whatever, but like you can go do a free to play account.
Yes, you only need a Steam account to play CS:GO.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously huge, huge, huge stuff. I wonder how they're going to broadcast it. It's not really mentioned in
It's
the
they just
press
say that
release.
ESL's handling production.
So yeah, I wonder if they have, like, I wonder what their distribution rights are going to look like for this. Like whether it's actually going to be on television or not. I guess is the point I'm making.
I mean, you
I,
gotta think that.
they have to consider it, don't they?
I mean, I would assume so, considering like the Olympics gets like their own channel.
Right? The Olympics themselves have a huge
Yeah.
contract. I think it's NBC that does
I
it.
mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we try to work something out with E League or yeah, ESPN. Like, I think it's gonna end up on TV somewhere. Now, as for where exactly, I mean, who knows? It could be a bidding war to see who's gonna offer up the most money for the rights to it. Like, um, it just says
Yeah.
ESL's gonna handle production.
Well, I
I
wonder
I
if,
would be kind of shocked if it doesn't make its way onto TV.
yeah, it's a weird legal thing because I'm pretty sure, doesn't Psyonix have a deal with Time Warner, right? Or is
They
that
have a deal with Turner Sports, which works in partnership with TBS.
right? But is TBS an affiliate of NBC? Because I know the Olympics are contracted out
Well,
to
because this is
NBC,
being backed by,
the
but the
IOC.
Turner Sports thing and E League deal, I got clarification on it. I said before that I've like acted like that partnership is for everything. It's just for CRL. That partnership is
Oh,
strictly for
okay.
CRL. Cloud Fuel gave me clarification on that because I didn't know. I thought it was for every. I thought it was for like all Rocket League broadcasts.
Okay.
No, it is
So
strictly for
so then
CRL.
so then my anticipation, actually, if it is an IOC backed event, is that it will be probably
Yeah,
broadcast on
I mean you have to
some
think
sort of
so.
distribution through NBC, right?
Yeah, I mean you would assume so.
So
The only I would assume it's gonna be on like the Olympics channel probably because of the fact that um, these tournaments don't exactly go quickly. You think for like a football game they block off like 3 hours or whatever. For this, they're gonna have to block off the entire day.
yeah, but it's really not, like, in that sense. I don't really think it's that different from Olympic coverage like on NBC, because that's really how they run it. They have
Yeah,
a, like an NBC, like when it's that time they just do NBC Sports, and they switch
yeah,
between the different events. But I mean, they just run it like all day long, and they
yeah.
just
I don't know.
put it out there.
We're gonna have to see on that, but I mean, So cool. This is history through and through.
Yeah, and again, it's cool to be on the forefront of it.
Yeah. No, like that was like the thing for me too, is when I saw that like Rocket League and Street Fighter 5 only, I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, like I was right. We're going into the mainstream. This is happening. Oh my god." Like that's kind of how I felt when I saw it this morning. I was like kind of losing my mind. I was like it's like this can't be real.
And I feel like we've even talked about it on this show before, but there's a lot of compelling reasons for Rocket League, and we've gone over it. I'm pretty sure.
If you don't know the reasons already, go watch our past episodes. You'll hear us talk about it.
But there's always like that sliver of doubt, you know. It's like if they're going to do it,
you
like,
always kind of wonder. You're like maybe not, but
also 250 grand is that's
good.
That's a pretty good.
Good
That's a pretty good chunk
right
of change
there for sure. So it's exciting. I can't wait to see how this happens. It's gonna be so amazing. But guys, do you have anything else you want to add on this one before we move on? Because I could seriously talk about this one for hours, but I know we don't have that kind of time.
I was gonna say, well, the only reason I want to switch, we can come back to it potentially, but the only reason I want to switch is because our next item is also another big one.
If we have time, we'll touch on this again in the freewheeling segment. We never have time, though. We never do. But moving on to the next bit of news. The Peeps officially win Dreamhack Montreal in the final series 4-2 over G2. You and me already talked about it. Anyone who follows me on Twitter, they already have seen it. I'm super sad because I didn't get to watch any of it. I was doing my lifeguard certification over the weekend. It's all day long, so I couldn't watch anything. And it really is upsetting.
And you might have missed what may go down as one of, if not the best tournament in 2019 for Rocket League.
Yeah,
because
no, that's what everybody was saying.
I watched parts of day 1 and 2, and I saw pretty much all of day 3. It, like, top to bottom, like, dream hacks are amazing in general, but this one in particular, there were so many compelling storylines. There were so many upsets. There were so many. I mean, well, an upset winner, clearly. So there's clearly a lot of upsets, but even just the series themselves, the G2 NRG semifinal series, amazing. 7-game series. There was a 10-minute overtime at one point, like. Absolutely absurd. The Peeps and Vitality, same thing, went overtime multiple times. So many, compelling games, and just another unbelievable event. And what an unbelievable result for the Peeps. Yeah. I mean,
That's
I'm going to start by giving them.
Seeing you guys in the comments, you're making me so sad. I missed something so amazing. I was so depressed about this. Like, I live and breathe Rocket League, and I was so genuinely depressed that I wasn't getting to watch this. I was like, why me?
I would say that my opinion is slightly biased because I went to RLCS this year. It may have even been better than RLCS strictly in terms of.
Don't tell me that. Don't say that to me.
In terms of the series, I mean. But yeah, I want to first, again, give a lot of credit to the Peeps because it's not easy to. I mean, they did it the hard way.
I mean, the little bit I did see of their earlier matches, like I tuned in for like literally like 5-minute bits, and so like I barely saw any gameplay though, because oftentimes when I tuned in it was commentary. But when I did see the Peeps on, oh my god, they were demoing left and right. They were just popping off.
Yeah, they went through, I believe on day 3, they went through Mouse, Renault Vitality, G2 in that order, all best of 7.
I have Liquipedia right here. Mouse, Vitality, G2, correct.
Yes.
And almost every, except for Vitality, all of them came down to the final game.
Yes. So they definitely did it the hard way. You have to give them a lot of credit because it's not...
Yeah.
Again, it's an unprecedented level of success for, really, I would say, an underdog team, right? We haven't. I don't think we've seen. I don't really think we've seen an underdog take a tournament like this really since the Muffin Men came out, in the first DreamHack.
Yeah, in Rocket
Because
League, like huge upsets like this are really, really uncommon. You really don't see them happen very often because, like, yeah, the Muffin Men. I saw a post about this like recently on RL Esports, but it was like the Muffin Men, um, I Buy Power Cosmic in season one, and I think there was like one more, and at Frank the Best, the Muffin Men were a favorite because they were underdogs. Like you can be a favorite, but like it still doesn't mean that you're likely to win. And that's like what this is. A lot of people really like the Peeps. Like Reddles and all of them, they're fun to watch. They're energetic. They're hype as heck. And so I think you can say that they were favorites, but they're still underdogs nonetheless. Like when you have Vitality, Cloud9, G2, Dignitas, when you have basically all the teams who were there for Beyond the Summit pretty much playing in this, like that's like the odds are stacked against you. These are very seasoned teams.
yeah, and it was actually kind of funny because first of all, let me back this up by saying this first. I'm a low level GC, a budget GC, if you will. So it's like a step, and it's like a step and a half below like pro level Rocket League, right? But like the play style that I saw from the Peeps, like the one thing that really stood out to me was a lot of their decision making. It actually looked in many ways sometimes like my C3 games, where I feel like a lot of the RLCS teams, or well, the other RLCS teams, I would say the higher ranked ones, they tended to give them a lot of respect. And I think the Peeps sort of capitalized on the chaotic nature of their play. Like
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, they shot really well, and you have to shoot well in order to execute,
Yeah.
and really go far. But some of their plays, like it would be like someone would go to touch the ball and like they wouldn't quite make contact. Then like you'd see like, because again, this game is, especially at the highest level, is so much about anticipation that
Yeah,
it,
it's so
it, it
much
looked
about
like
like getting the read on stuff, and if you expect them to make the hit and then they don't, throws you off.
it looked like, especially I noticed in Vitality, I think the most out of the series that I watched, it looked like it really kind of threw them for a loop at times
Yeah.
because there was definitely this like chaotic nature of their play, and it was really fun to watch. And again, obviously they did it well because they beat everyone, but man, I just thought it was absurd. I was like, oh my god, that they're giving them too much respect. Like I was
Yeah.
watching it, I'm like, you just gotta get back in their face. Like, the way that they were playing was, obviously super fast, super high energy, and just, basically pound the ball and go. But when you're playing against that, you have to match it. Like G2 and Vitality, I noticed that the most were still trying to stick to that possession play style, but again, they were giving the Peeps almost too much respect. And frankly, the other element of it too, in the grand final, G2, I'm sorry, but they looked bad in the grand final. For as
Yeah.
good as they looked in every series before it, they looked bad in that grand final.
So,
Rizzo, sorry,
what
go
were you
ahead.
saying? You can finish what you're saying.
I was gonna say I don't normally like to do this, but I thought Rizzo in particular is gonna have nightmares about his performance in that grand final
Yeah.
because as the games went on, it got worse and worse for him in particular. I don't really like to single out individual performances, but it was, if you're a G2 fan, you watched, I think you saw, and it wasn't pretty.
Yeah. Frank DeBest. I don't like people comparing Muffin Men to the Peeps because if I remember right, the Muffin Men were like the fourth best team in NA at the time and were a decent seed, and the Peeps were a 12 seed in the most stacked tournament ever. I mean, yeah, you can say that, but at the same time, like Muffin Men, they still didn't have a whole lot of results behind them at the time. Like that's the thing is like when they first pulled off their main upsets, like they still were kind of just like this team that like people were just starting to kind of learn about. You still wouldn't have counted them as the winners, especially over some of these other the EU teams and stuff. Like you got to think fourth best in NA back at that time meant you were probably like closer to 10th in the world because EU was just so much more dominant than NA back then. So I think Muffin Men to the Peeps right now is a pretty apt comparison actually because 12th in a tournament with all of EU like this, I mean, their seating's kind of close to the same compared to like what you would have counted it as back then. I mean, do you agree with me on that, or do you think that I'm in the wrong on this?
I tend to largely agree. I wasn't as knowledgeable of the scene at that time as I am now, so it's kind of more difficult for me to say because frankly I don't remember it that well. But you know,
I just remember they were like kind of that up and coming team at the time, and that's what the Peeps are right now. Is they're that up and coming team. A lot of people. I remember people were way more excited to see the Peeps make it out of RLS than the Birds and the Bees. So, like, there are people who are in the Peeps corner just as I think you would say there were a lot of people in the Muffin Men's corner back at the time. And, I mean, clearly there's still a bunch of people in their corner, but...
I think the difference, into the commenter's point, I think the difference is that the Peeps hadn't really, or at least to my knowledge, haven't really given us a result where we would say, oh, like they are going to bang on win this whole thing. I don't think the Peeps
Muffin Men really did either. By the time that they won their first like big deal as a team, like I don't think they really had any huge wins to like show off either. Like they were like I look at the two as being pretty similar.
I agree that it's close, but I can also understand where I see both sides of it. Yeah. You know what? It's a neutral opinion, man. Listen. Yeah. The point is, it's still an incredible win for them, and my guess is they will now probably also be picked up by an org very soon. There were hints of that.
They've been hinting at an org, and Eldino told me what org he thinks it is.
I have an educated guess, but I don't know if it's fully accurate.
Yeah, I mean, it could be Reddles trolling people. Reddles is one of the few pro players that really likes to mess with everyone. So his stuff... Yeah, the rumor is that it's E-United, as that commenter, Frank DeBest says. But I'm not sure, because Reddles is one of those guys who likes to, tug us around and play with us. So they could be, like, retweeting and liking all their stuff and then be like, oh hey, we got picked up by Luminosity way over here. It could just be like some misdirection for them. I don't believe it's what they're doing, but it'd be really funny if it was.
Yeah, we'll have to see what comes of it, but I definitely think that they'll now be picked up because you can't. Yeah, I can't imagine a world where you win a major like that and not.
Yeah, taking out arguably like
best two teams in the world.
Really, really good teams. Like the Bricks have stepped up a lot, I think. Or Mouse Esports now. They stepped up a lot. Renault Vitality, previous RLCS winners, and then G2, who have been doing really well in all their tournaments as of late. They haven't won yet, but they keep going pretty damn far. Like, I think it's only a matter of time before they take one soon.
I would say so. I think I agree with that. Sorry, I got a little bit distracted because my computer is yelling at me that it wants me to do a restart. So I'm trying to delay a restart. Again, I'm sorry.
You're good.
I kind of panicked because I saw the thing pop up. And I'm
can't do a restart right now. It'll ruin the whole show.
Pretty much.
You got anything else you want to add on this one?
Only that I think this was G2's best chance to get a win with this roster. I think their RLCS run, they got perhaps a little bit lucky with their seeding, and they played really well and they got as far as they did, but they were on the easier side of the bracket. I think for any sort of, after beating NRG, right? They beat NRG in the semifinal. To then draw the Peeps in the grand final, I don't think from G2's point of view, I don't think you could ask for a better draw.
Yeah, that's pretty favorable in a lot of people's eyes. That's really favorable for G2.
And frankly, watching it, it should have been 4-0 to pull a squishy comment.
Yeah.
It should have been 4-0 because G2 pulled a reverse G2 and they hit an equalizer at 0 seconds and kind of stole one of the first games. But
Yeah.
really, they really didn't look all that great through the majority of the series. And it has to be immensely disappointing, especially for certain players who didn't perform well.
No, there was a screenshot Dazarin took at the moment that the Peeps scored the winning goal. And you had the player cam, so you could see immediately what their reactions were. And you see just like blurry images for all of the Peeps because they're like jumping up to cheer. And you just see like, I think it was JNAPS or Chicago. You just see them like head down, like in their hands. And the other two just looking so upset that they just lost. Like, and it's just like, that's how it goes sometimes, you know?
Yeah, I like the difference for me, like I think like with RLCS, like losing to Renault Vitality in the grand final, like I don't think there's any shame in that, you know?
No,
like,
I don't think so either.
You know, RV is one of the best teams in the world. You can't, you can't really be like, oh well, we really should have won that. When they look back at this is one that they almost certainly should have won.
Yeah, you have to wonder like what type of conversations are going to be had over this. And just kind of over there.
It's a mentality. They looked so good through the whole thing, through the whole tournament. They were on fire. They looked like the best team in the world going into the grand final. They did. I mean, really, I'm pretty sure they swept all the way through day 2, right? And through most of day 3. Like they just, I forget the run of the results exactly, but I mean they crushed.
For day 3. I mean they came off a 3-1 win against Dignitas. Then they had a 4-3 victory over NRG, and then 3-4 against the Peeps.
Yeah, but I think on day 2 they actually went undefeated in games. I think, if I remember that correctly.
And day 2 they actually played the Peeps and beat them 3-2.
Okay.
They beat the Peeps 3-2 in day 2, and then they 3-0'd Vitality. They didn't drop a series there in day 1. Trying to find where their group is.
I mean, point being was that they were crushing. I mean, they really were. And to sort of blow it at the end is incredibly unfortunate in a lot of ways, but it's a mentality thing. You could tell they weren't playing their game, and it just kind of went off the rails for them a little bit. And it's also funny because, one of the things the commentary desk brought up that I thought was a really good point was that this is probably the only tournament we've had in Rocket League history where G2 weren't the crowd favorite, where they became the villain,
Yeah, because like the Peeps, it's like actually really crazy how much of a following they have. Like it really is. Like a lot of people have like fallen in love with that team, and I think that's just kind of how the Rocket League scene is. Like the audience is, we're all about the underdogs. Like we really are about the teams that like are coming from the below, like they're punching up to try and take down this giant for us. And so it's like, I think that's part of why Season 5 RLCS finals in particular are so astounding to people, is because it was like, going into that, like everyone wanted NRG to win it. Like no one wanted to see Dignitas go back to back again. Like people wanted to see NRG take it and like get their first world championship. And it coming down to the wire in the way that it did, like there was just a lot of stuff behind it that like drove that series into where it is now. Not just the astounding plays that ended it, just it's all of these things together. So it's crazy, to be honest.
It reminds me, because whenever they cut to the camera during the final series, there was this one kid sitting like near the front who was wearing like a G2 like jersey,
Yeah.
And you could hear him you could like see him going like, "Let's go Peeps," like with all his friends. And I'm like, "You're wearing a G2 shirt and they're in the grand final." And I'm like, And like it's kind of absurd. I remember seeing it at the time and being like, really?
That's amazing.
But you're right, that is how a lot of the fandom is though. People have perhaps an allegiance to a specific roster, but for the most part, I think most fans are fairly flexible on who they root for. I don't really know of that many people who are like, oh, I will only root for X team.
I think we all kind of have like our team that's our favorite, but we're not opposed to cheering for other teams. Like I think everyone to an extent has that one team that you're like, I support that team. I mean, that's part of why so many people cheer for Energy, G2, and Cloud9. Like one of those three is your team typically. And it's nice when you see other teams like they're saying there in comments about how they came to like the Peeps. And it's just, I think there's just something that draws you in and makes you cheer for a team, and they're your favorite, but you're not opposed to going and cheering for someone else.
Yeah, I just thought it just reminded me because I remember saying it. I was in a Discord call with a couple of my friends. We're all watching it together in a way, and it was brought up. It was brought up at one point because again, the kid was sitting like right in the front row. It was just so funny, but it is. I think it's an accurate representation of just people they're rooting for the story in a lot of ways. You know, when you have these sort of soft allegiances, I'll say, like, you know, you're kind of just there for the story. And to be fair, the Peeps gave an absolutely incredible story, and
they did.
It would be our
Cinderella
main point of
story
discussion.
through and through.
It would be the main point of our discussion today if it wasn't for the Olympics, you know. So.
Yeah. Real quick before we move on to the next one, Grubsy's RL. G2 is playing a Peeps that clapped Mouse and Renault Vitality, so you got to be thinking about that. Yeah, I mean, to an extent, that is part of what the deal was, is the Peeps, like, they went into that feeling great. I also think that G2 went into that finals feeling great, too. I mean, you come off a 4-3 victory over NRG, who just won the last major.
And who has knocked you out of many.
Yeah, who's been
before.
like a rival to you constantly. Yeah, I mean, it goes either way in some different. Like, if you look at things and how things could have gone differently in certain ways, like, I think it could have gone either way, but the Peeps pulled it out, and, you know, for that, we commend them. But you got anything else you want to add before we move on?
No, I think we covered just about everything there. We got a couple of things left, and then we'll see where we're at.
This next one, we'll kind of blaze through it. There's really not a whole lot to discuss on it, to be honest. For the next season of Collegiate Rocket League, we will be seeing it hosted on Face It instead of TESPA this time around. You actually did CRL, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
What are your you would have a better understanding of this than I would.
Face is a better platform, personally, I think. I wasn't really a huge fan of TESPA's organization for the qualifiers. I thought it was kind of a pain in the butt to use. I do think overall Face is a better platform, so I'm glad they made a switch. I'm also glad because it means that Face It is finally doing something with Rocket League, and I think
finally.
Finally.
About time they actually put their system to use.
Yeah, so I'm glad that they're being given this. I feel like this is sort of like the test. Well, not really the test one because it's an official event, but this is the beginning, I think, of conversion towards Face It, which is good. So I'm a fan.
Well, cool. This one I really don't have much to talk about on it because I've never done CRL. By the time Rocket League came out, I was already graduated.
I wish I was like 2 years younger. Because I would have hit it right in perfect stride. It would have been great. Yeah. I of course graduated. So.
One thing I want to touch on real quick about it is collegiate Rocket League and collegiate esports in general fascinate me very much. One team that's been playing in our tournaments a lot lately.
I know you're going to say.
Who is it?
Mizzou.
Yeah.
I've run into them a couple times.
They fascinate me so much.
Really good team.
They're a really good team. I'm actually super impressed with them. But I like followed their Twitter and stuff, so like they posted like what um their room, like the plays areas that they practice on and stuff, like what that looks like. They showed a picture of the team like in a practice, like going over replays and stuff.
Hmm.
And it was just like them all sitting around this big TV talking it out and stuff. And it was just like, I am so fascinated by collegiate esports, and I I'm so excited to see teams like or colleges start to create their own teams.
Yeah, really quick, I'm going to give a massive shout out to my school because I'm repping the brand right
Temple.
now. We actually just got our own esports center at one of our satellite
Ooh,
campuses.
nice.
Yeah, 12 PCs. So they're actually doing like we're starting to do events now where like like on Saturdays and stuff, like we'll go up and like different esports because
Yeah.
it's part of the whole thing. But like like here, like we're pretty big on Overwatch and Rocket League, League of Legends. Like it's cool to have it in that setting because in college you tend to have that freedom and flexibility where I think there's
Yeah.
far less of a stigma, and because
Yeah,
everyone
you
is
have
together
plenty
in
of
the
time to
same area.
practice, that's for sure.
Yeah, and because everyone's in the same vicinity, like
Mm.
physically, like location wise, like it makes it much more of a like team feeling because you actually get to meet
Yeah.
the people you're playing with.
I'm
Like,
wondering if we're gonna see a point at which um collegiate teams become the RLRS teams. I'm wondering
we've
if we're
already,
ever gonna see something like that.
we've already seen some crossover with
Yeah.
individual players. There have been individual players that play collegiately and have also qualified.
Yeah, like
Like
Mizzou's
or
playing in both. They're doing CRL and they're doing RLRS qualifiers as a team. They already qualified, of course, for the closed qualifier at the end, but just it's fascinating to me. I love the ideas of treating esports as you do a regular sport, having like a college team, having it in the Olympics. All that's just so freaking cool to me. We're in the best timeline right now.
we are in the best timeline, no doubt.
You got anything else you want to add?
No, let's get through some real quick roster news.
Roster news. So we are going to go into the roster shuffle. So our first bit of news is Atomic has officially joined Ghost after playing in or before playing in Dreamhack Montreal. I can't remember. I just like grabbed all these real quick. I think it was before Dreamhack Montreal. What are your thoughts on this one? Did you see any of Ghost playing?
I didn't really catch much of Ghost only because I didn't watch like the full day one, day two.
Okay.
But
I was gonna ask
I
like, if
mean,
you
it's
thought they were improved or anything with him.
yeah, I didn't really get a chance to catch any of their games specifically. I I know he's been playing with them for a bit now, so I
Yeah,
guess
they've
it's
been
good that
doing
it's
a lot
official.
of scrims together.
Yeah, I think it can be a good move. We'll have to see, of course, how it works out in RLCS
Yeah.
because the competition in NA outside of the big three this year looks rough.
I don't even know if you can say beyond the big three. I think, and this is my hope, is that this is finally the season where the big three don't mean jack. I hope it is. We're gonna find out. I'm hoping this is the season where there is no big three. It doesn't mean jack anymore. You're not top dog anymore. Someone else can possibly take you down now. And I think with all the teams we've got this season, I think this is the best chance for it to happen. If it doesn't happen this season, I think for sure when we get to season 9, you're going to see there's no longer a big three in North America. I think you're going to see us kind of fall into chaos like EU.
Well, all we can do is wait and see for that. I don't know if I agree with it this season, but we'll see.
We will see. Going on to the next bit of roster news, Mouse Esports officially picks up the Bricks roster. That roster consisting of a lot, Cookseer, and Speed. Good to see that. I like that they're staying in Rocket League.
Yeah. Mouse is just, I think, generally speaking, a very well-respected org across multiple different games. So as you said, I'm glad that they're staying in the scene. I really hope we get some Mouse esport items.
We already have those, dude.
We do?
Yeah, those have been in there. They've been in there forever.
Oops. My bad.
I already got those. Yeah, I went and got all of the esports decals because But yeah,
I wanted to initially, and then they came out with so much, and I was like, "Whoa, I can't afford it."
I got the general decals. Beyond that, I was like, wheels only if I see like the two I like, I'll get it. But other than that, I'm just gonna pass it. I don't care. But I think they're gonna see a jump in sales now that they have a team that people like so much. And I was saying it with our podcast with Leaf last time, but I'm a huge fan of Speed now after Beyond the Summit. He's hilarious. He is so funny. I had no clue he was so funny.
Yeah, that BTS event, I think, did wonders for a lot of those kinds of, that's what I'm looking for, like, connections, like, almost like to teams, like, connections to the players, I guess. So
yeah. You feel a bit better connected to them. I agree with that. You got anything else you want to add on that one?
Good for Cucks for sticking with it and now continuing to get paid. Good to see him still rocking it.
Getting them org pickups.
Oh yeah.
One quick thing before we move on to the next one. I think there was a Liquipedia deal that said this is the first season since season 5, I think they said, that all EU RLCS teams have an organization backing them.
Good. That's how it should be.
So that's cool. Happy for that. Moving on to the next bit. Lethamyr officially leaves Ghost and joins Mouse eSports as their coach. So just tying those two last ones neatly into a bow with Lethamyr.
Yeah, it's funny. One of my friends who's a fairly high level GC actually purchased coaching from Lethamyr. He did it as
nice.
I forget which service he used, but
yeah,
he actually got coaching for him, and it helped him a lot actually. So
I totally believe in that stuff. I'm like, being able to get in their head for even an hour, 2 hours. Like
I think that's what it was. It was like an hour, or maybe like, 2 sessions. But yeah,
like being able to get in their headspace for just even a small bit of time is like, it really helps show you like what sets you apart from these guys and what makes them so good.
Yeah, so definitely, I'm glad that Leth is staying in the scene and he's staying. Yeah, I think he's a phenomenal coach. I think he'll do really well with it. So I'm happy for him and for Mouse to have their guy. And I'm gonna say a very similar comment for the next one too when you read it out.
The next bit of news: Fireburner officially joins Cloud9 as their coach. I think of all the things we have on this deal today, this one surprised me the most. I think everybody and their mother was like, "Oh yeah, Fireburner, he's just gonna become NRG's coach." Sure, like that makes sense. No, not quite.
Yeah, chasing that dollar sign, baby. I mean, I can understand to an extent why you might not want to coach NRG. It may be awkward.
Yeah, I get
for Justin
you were
and Garrett
teammates with these guys, and to be their coach now. Yeah, I guess you have to change your relationship a little bit too much. I think the other thing that surprised me most though is just I didn't think Cloud9 were gonna get a coach. Like that just doesn't. It may come off as like ignorant saying it this way, but they're just not a team I thought would ever get a coach. I just didn't see them wanting a coach or ever thinking they needed one, to be honest. Like they're so consistent as a team that I just didn't think that was something they were really looking into, because they were one of the few teams who just didn't have a coach for a long time.
Yeah, I think the attitude about coaches is really starting to change, and again, this is something that we've talked about, so I don't want to go into it too heavy, but I think having an outside perspective can definitely help, and especially from someone who you believe is a peer. I think that's really big. Yeah.
He's got results behind him to back him up. Like, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, in particular with Fireburner, I think I can understand it more because I feel like he's earned their respect at the minimum.
I can see
So,
that.
as opposed to perhaps some of the other candidates out there for coaching who may not have that super high level experience that Fireburner does,
Yeah,
I can see him getting the nod.
that one actually does make sense because I'm kind of with you. I think in my opinion, it might have been like Cloud9 don't have anyone who, I mean, really, you're Cloud9. You have such great results almost
Yeah,
all the time. Like, if they're not a top 14, they're a top 18 consistently. Like, they don't do worse than that on any LAN event. And so,
yeah,
like, really, who are they going to look to as like this is someone who we genuinely respect, who like we know that they are capable, and like someone who is on a team that's formerly your rival and has beaten you before. I think that's a viable candidate for sure. So, no, I think that's a valuable point, and that would make sense about why he's the one that they chose of all possible candidates.
yeah. I think it'll be a good fit actually for all of them. So
Yeah, I'm excited to see how it works. Before we move on to the next one, this is just a quick side question for you. Do you feel that having coaches on stage gave an impact this DreamHack?
yes, I
Yeah,
do. Um, I think well, so with Moopy in particular, because again the Peeps are the one who won. I think having someone up there to sort of keep them level. I think Moopy actually did a really good job of keeping them level.
level-headed.
Yeah, and Jazzo, I think the coach for G2 kind of touched on it as well. He talked about in one of their interviews about how he's like I'm a fourth player. He goes, the way I see it is like I'm like a fourth player, and everyone has equal input on decision making and adjustments that want to be made. I think having that person there and able to talk to the players, huge, huge, huge.
Yeah. No, I can get along with that.
So yeah, I'm a fan.
I thought it was a good idea, and I'm excited to see. I hope they implement it for like LAN and stuff, or RLCS and everything like that. But moving on to the next bit of news, we're gonna try and blaze through the last ones real quickly. Team Reciprocity officially signed the former PSG roster. That team consisting of Farah, Fruity, and Chaussette. Team Reciprocity. I hadn't heard of them before. I did looking into them a little bit. Apparently, they're an up and coming org that has a lot of money behind them.
That I was actually just about to make a very similar comment. Was the same thing. I really didn't know who they were, but after looking into them, they seem pretty cool.
Yeah, they
I'm
seem
kind of a fan.
cool, and apparently they've got loads of money backing them, which is why they were able to afford this team. So I think you were right
Yes,
on the money about it being a money deal
it's a huge part of it. Makes the
for
whole
like
world go round, baby.
yeah. No, I think you were right though on that being why they left PSG is that they couldn't come to a deal on new contracts.
Hey, you know what? They held out and they got a better contract. We
Hey.
see that
And
as a move.
they seem like a really great org too, so I'm super excited for them. Uh,
Yeah, we
yeah,
should be only nothing but good things. We're hoping, right?
yeah. I mean, having orgs in the scene in and of itself, good thing. I'm a firm believer of that. Moving on to our next bit of news, we got two more items and we're done with roster shuffle. Sway Esports has officially picked up the Cleveland roster. That team consists of Bork, Savvy Seal, and Raw Greg. One of the teams that I strongly believe will make RLRS this season. I strongly believe they're going to make it.
Yeah, and in the episode that I did with Raw Greg,
Yeah, that was you who did that episode. I
yeah,
forgot.
yeah, like list, like because I talked to him a little bit before and after the show too,
Yeah.
and listening to him like talk about the team, like I tend to agree with you. I have a lot of confidence just in terms of I think they have, um, I think they have really good chemistry. I think they have good
Yeah.
results, and I think they have the biggest thing for me is the mentality. I think they have
That's
the
that's what
mentality
I
to do
think
it.
too. They've got a great mentality. But the other thing for me too is like they've got some results to back it up. Like
Yeah,
I'm not going into RLRS looking at a team really if you don't have something like if the individual players don't have results to make me think that they are solid players, I'm not considering them. And this is a team that like all these guys they have results. They have results as a team, which is an even bigger plus when I'm looking at all that stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how they do. But RLR's plans are still, or qualifiers are still going on currently. We got 3 more weekends of that before we go to play-ins. So we'll see.
All coming up soon.
Moving on to our final roster news. Verge has announced as the new coach for Dignitas. I am super stoked. Verge is a very lovable guy in the community. Former coach for Allegiance before the whole organization disbanded. So super happy to see that he's back in with it as a job for Dignitas of all organizations. So I'm super pumped for him.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by this one. I didn't think Verge was going to get. I wasn't sure.
He's
if
not
Verge
the
was gonna
coach
get
I
another
would have pegged for them.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if he was going to get another
dig it.
shot at RLCS. Frankly, I mean, I don't mean that disrespectfully, but I just
No, I'm with you.
You know, I just after the whole Allegiance thing, like I wasn't sure that he was going to get picked for that role again. But
yeah,
hey, you know what? If it works, it works. And honestly, good for him because that Dignitas team is starting to really look good now. It's
starting to look pretty good. I think there might be hope yet for that team. I'm with you. They're looking solid. You got anything else you want to add on this one?
No, I think that'll do it for that one.
All right, that concludes the roster shuffle. And unfortunately, we don't have time to go into freewheeling. You and me always do this. This is like a consistent thing with us. We need to get better.
Well, okay, but to be fair, on this week,
there was a lot. There's a lot.
With Dreamhack and the Olympics, like that.
I just wanted to talk more about the Olympics. That's all I wanted to talk about.
I know, but
I could totally have made today's episode entirely about that.
Yeah, but it had, listen, we'll talk about it more in the future. I promise.
Oh, as more stuff comes up on it, we're definitely going to be talking more. But thank you guys very much for joining us tonight. Once again, be sure to follow us here on Twitch so you can stay up to date with all the times that we go live each week. We'll be uploading this episode later on YouTube and podcast services. For anyone who missed today's live recording, that will happen tomorrow. Probably expected about afternoonish. I'm not going to be able to get it up in the morning like I typically do. But Perino, give us your plugs. Where can people find you?
Well, you can primarily find me on Twitch. That is twitch.tv/Perino. And if you'd like to follow me on Twitter, you can check me out. My handle is listed right below my beautiful face here. If you're watching on YouTube, it is @PerinoTV. And
likewise, if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me right here. There, that place. You can follow me over there. Yeah, I just talk eSports stuff. I just talk Rocket League. Occasionally, I post something about myself and commentary things. But other than that, I'm pretty much just Rocket League. So if you like that, go follow me.
Hey!
But this has been Around the Scene, presented to you by Playing with the Rockets. I'm Ryan. That's Perino. It has been our pleasure to have you with us. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day. Perino, it was awesome.
Thanks for having me on again. It was another great episode, Ryan.
For sure. Take care, guys. We'll see you later.